we launched a competition to find London's most exciting young artists.
What's this then? Some kind of modern art or something?
A panel of respected judges chose their favourite 10. And over 40,000 members of the public voted for our 11th winner, the People's Choice. These artists are about to embark on the journey of their lives. Let the creating begin. The young artists in this series are already winners. They've been handpicked by some of the most stellar names in the art world. Our judges are all leading figures from London's key cultural institutions and creative agencies.
I think that these works are tremendous.
It was such a pleasure to judge these categories.
There's just so much quality.
Oh, I just thought they were really fun and playful, and I've just really enjoyed looking at these.
They poured over 600 original pieces in 5 different categories: landscape, portrait, sculpture, photography, and street art. The artists they chose are all well into production of their new works, reflecting the spirit of London. They have mentors on hand to guide their efforts and in some cases suggest new ways of approaching their art.
But I was thinking, I must admit, I did panic for you. I thought,
everyone does.
What is he gonna do? And then I was sitting there thinking, why am I stressing myself back? It's not me. I thought, if I was in this situation, what would I do? I mean, if you had any thoughts, clearly you must have done.
I have, yeah. I mean, it is super difficult, isn't it? I mean, because obviously I'm a wildlife photographer who focuses exclusively outside of the UK, so I've never shot any UK wildlife before.
Oh, really?
And I guess the thing which really sort of resonated with me was foxes.
Yes, I was going to say foxes or
pigeons.
pigeons.
Yeah, perfect. Exactly. And they've really made a success out of London.
But getting that into the landscape...
That's the challenge.
You know, I've got foxes in my backyard.
Exactly.
You're more than welcome to set up if you want there, but it's not exactly the spirit of London.
The goal is going to be, well, I'm going to give it a go to do it in the wild and see what happens, but have a bit of a backstop and maybe work with like a habituated fox if everything else doesn't pan out. But I'm sort of fingers crossed we can make something work in the wild.
You know, you go off on your travels and spend as many weeks as you wanted photographing those beautiful horses.
Exactly.
With no pressure, because you know, I'll get a nice one tomorrow, it's not work today.
Exactly right.
I can come back, whereas this is a different process, isn't it?
With so many things that you can't control. You know, wildlife, it's completely on their own terms.
But if you did have a tame fox, had you thought about where you might?
I did. So, I mean, there's sort of the obvious kind of landmarks. But what I really wanted was something which kind of brings people into the shots. I really wanted leading lines, particularly. And I was kind of having a think around, and the thing which really stuck in my head so far, and I haven't gone all the way through, but is Millennium Bridge. So your lovely leading lines across the bridge, and then you have St Paul's at the back.
Yes.
So just leading straight into that, bring you into London.
Yes, nice.
Fox walking in.
And can you get tame foxes?
You can. I mean, it's not something I've ever looked into much in the past, but I did briefly look, and you know, for sort of TV adverts, and they do have it, and I do know that foxes are very easy to habituate. I was quite clear in my head that if I was going to do it this way, which I'm still not 100% on, but I was going to do it this way, any proceeds I ever made from this print ever again would always go to charity, 100%.
That's nice.
Because that way, you know, I'm doing something with it, and it's for a reason and for a cause. I still want to have a go at doing it my way.
I mean, what about pigeons as well? I mean, that's...
I did think about it sort of Trafalgar Square, and I think...
You could create something beautiful there.
Yeah, I mean, for it to work, in my mind, the light needs to be absolutely perfect.
Yes.
You need to have dramatic light and sort of thinking...
But even if you were laying on the floor of Trafalgar Square looking up at Nelson's Column...
That's nice.
And with the right light, that could look amazing.
I think you're dead right, and I think that's the vital component is light, isn't it?
And even if the fox had to be on a lead, I could mac that out for you. No one needs to know. Just cheat it a little bit.
But I think
there was never a lead, it was just there.
I do think, you know, I have to be a little bit more creative than normal.
I think you do, and
Yeah.
I think you have to give yourself a bit of a break.
I think so. It's hard.
I think you've got a hard one, and I think you've got to just ease up a little bit. Not take away any of your, your views and how you only shoot like this, but I think just open your mind a little bit more. Donating the money, I think, from print sales is a lovely idea.
Yeah, it would mean a lot to me. I think that's really important to me, and it would be the only reason, I could get fully on board for sure.
So here's the sketch for my proposal for the Next Big Thing artwork. And you can see I'm going to make it in the corner of my studio here as a puzzle and then reassemble it in the gallery space when it comes to the installation for the exhibition. So I'm here at the construction site at Bishop's Court, and the guys here have been really kind. They said that they're going to find some scrap pieces of wood for me, which are behind this skip here. This is my assistant Sarah. So we have matching.
Right, so let me put this camera down quickly. Oh, me not being prepared. Yeah, this is for comedic value. Okay, hello. I have compiled some photographs for my painting for the Spirit of London. And yeah, right now I'm just gonna do a couple sketches and show you my photographs that I'm gonna be using to help me. So basically, I have these different images here. I'm gonna get them on screen like so, and I'm gonna take the best elements from each photo and sort of help use them to help me create a scene. So this is a really nice one, so I might use other photos to help me sort of drawing the legs, the shoes. So maybe I'll help use this one to help me with the composition of the lower half, and then I'll maybe merge that with this one of her. They're basically of people that I feel represent London.
Mm-hmm.
They are friends, mm-hmm. and I gave them a mood board. I was like, these are the poses that I liked, and they sort of sent me back some photos, and I feel like, and this was actually one of my favorite photos of him.
Yeah.
I like his stare, I like his positioning, but the only thing with this photo is you can't see his legs.
Yeah.
So it's not a perfect image, but what I've done is I've done a quick little sketch here of some legs, just to try and sort of figure out how I'm going to piece that image together with the lower and upper half of the torso. In terms of the colours that I use for the background, that usually manifests as I'm painting. So I'll paint the people first, then I'll try a colour. If it doesn't work, I'll try another colour and sort of figure it out.
See how it feels. I mean, I personally quite like the drapery that you've got going on.
Right.
I just like the kind of trio of colours. I think it balances really well.
That'll be something different actually, because as I said, I usually only do like a flat
yes.
bold colour. Yeah. If that is what I'm going for, it will usually be a bold flat colour.
Do you start your paintings off on a white canvas?
Just
right.
normal
and
canvas.
have you ever tried to start off with a toned ground, not white?
No.
Okay. I never work on a white canvas or a white ground. Even when I'm drawing, I never work on white.
Do you have like a sort of a colour that you use for the majority of your works?
Yes, so the majority of the time I use like what I call battleship grey. It's the least exciting because it's
Battleship
about
grey.
as far away from what you're... But the good thing about that is that it's as colour and tonally neutral as you can get. And
Yeah, I've made a mental note of everything. I've got everything.
Miriam's advice on colour really resonated.
Bradley really pushed me to bring colour into it. He sort of opened up a whole set of possible combinations of, paints and lines and fills and patterns and hatches using different media. It'll definitely be something that I keep doing in probably most of my pieces. Definitely going to do some more pieces in chalk as well, because I like those kind of Well, I like that it's something that most people remember as something that they did as a kid, or at least that I remember that I, would spend afternoons doing big chalk drawings in the street. 20 years later, nothing's changed. I'm still just out here doing chalk drawings. It's almost worrying.
So we've got my grandma here and we're doing a video shoot with my grandma, and we've got Heval, the amazing photographer, and we are shooting my grandma. So stay tuned. These are just the ones we took on the weekend.
Oh wow.
And they're just images of her. So I worked with a
Gosh,
photographer
what an
who's one of my
amazing
friends.
face she has.
Oh, I know. I love her. I just love her face. I love her hair. She's just so interesting.
Just kind of visually, it creates a sort of halo of light around her, the smoke as well, which is actually an interesting image in itself.
That's why I like the kind of round ones a lot, where it kind of frames the picture a bit.
So, I mean, the smoke could just kind of meander around the picture plane, and you definitely have to use her words. I mean, I think that's, there's no question about that.
Because there's so much she's got to say, and because she's just that woman you see on the street, she's not, I feel like everyone's got the story, but hers is so amazing, and there's so many amazing stories out there, and I want her to have a voice, because for so many years she didn't have a voice.
Absolutely.
The street art element mixed with the detailed element and then the bright colours element. I think I do want to mix it up, but I'm scared to.
I'm glad you said that, because I think there's something very strong about this direction in your work. And it would be a shame to sort of like close the door on that and just go down this road. Because I feel in a funny way, I sort of feel that's more you. I feel this is something that you can do, and it's something you can explore and evolve. But there's something I think that's quite authentically you, and to do with your personality.
So when you think of what London is, you think of diversity. That's everyone's first thing, what is London to you? It's diversity, it's everyone from everywhere, just all together. And with that, everyone comes with their own story. So my grandma was very abused by her husband, my granddad. Very, very, very badly abused. He used to drink a lot, and he used to hit my whole family. He used to just beat up my whole family. My mum's got scars at the back of her head. And people back then turned a blind eye to it, because it was kind of like, she gets beaten up, whatever. But when she came here, she kind of spoke about her story to solicitors and, people, and they saved her, and they said, no, you're not going back. And she didn't want to go back to that. She always says, this is my home. She loves Turkey. We all love Turkey, but this is the country that listened to her. So I wanted to do my artwork based on her story, like this, possibly with an element of that, using her words to create the picture, use those words to create a big image of her.
Hi again. This is just the latest update, really. So I was able to meet Miriam Escofet last week, which was just an amazing experience. Followed her work for quite some time, and even found out about the show via her Instagram. So to suddenly be in her studio chatting with her and getting tips about painting, and just to see her work in the flesh, which is absolutely amazing. So these are the ideas sort of side by side. So obviously it was a really nice image. It's quite an old image of Lulu. I think she must have been about between sort of 6 and 8, so very young, but sort of facing in that same direction. And there's a real intensity in her look, and I really, really like that. So yeah, it's just getting on with everything now, and hopefully I'll have an update next week as well.
Hi Raven.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, all cool. Explain to me, what is it you're wanting to say through the work?
It's difficult. I think it always is. It's quite dependent on who I'm asking to model, because it's very much, I think, tied to their narrative. Sorry, my cat's running all over the place. At the same time, I realise that my work is quite collaborative as well.
For me, over the time, is this balancing act between allowing your self-expression to have enough voice and the practicality of paying the bills. With the Spirit of London, how far are you down the road with this?
I think I spent the last week, because I think we officially kicked off last week, so I spent the last week kind of staring at my screen thinking, what on earth is the Spirit of London? And as like a Londoner, it's kind of a very weird concept. Someone's like, what is the Spirit of London? Because like, to me, it's a very like multicultural place. It's hard to pin down anything. And then I had a brainwave, and so I've been trying to negotiate organizing it, but it's basically, I want to create like a smaller clay relief of an individual who was quite prominent in the recent Black Lives Matter movement. But again, I think definitely how I practice in terms of it being collaborative, I also did want their almost sign off and support. And so within that, I've managed to make contact through some other collaborators that I was working with.
Scale? What scale? What size?
I think that's dependent on how much monster clay I have. So I reckon it will be maybe a foot or two in kind of size, but I'm just not sure how I'm going to, what will be the form. I don't know if it will be like a square, almost rectangle. It depends on, I guess, the image I choose as the study.
So it will be very much hand skill, sculpting away, working at home, from photos. Wow.
Yeah, gonna try.
Come up against a little dilemma. Went to B&Q earlier to get some bits that I needed at the last minute, obviously just for a shot. I got a roller so I can paint this tonight because I'm putting the lights on it tomorrow. But I've bought one that's got like a nothing in the middle, and I've just gone to get, I've got quite a few of these. I swear I remembered them having like little metal brackets so that they hold these on, but I mean, that's not working. Look, I've ballsed this up somehow. When I first got the phone call to say like, oh, you're gonna be on the next big thing, I was like, okay, how am I gonna put across the message? And I just thought, I need words to execute this. Like, I need words to get across one of the things, or some of the things that I want to kind of like be able to say with this piece. And then a few of the lines kind of just dropped into my head, and then it flowed, and it came in quite quickly actually, over about like 2 or 3 days. So I started making this light box.
I love light boxes. I think they're amazing. Light boxes give this great energy. From what I'm seeing, you're doing a good job.
Thanks.
I wouldn't know what to add except for one thing. We have this one light box in New York that normally has a kind of rotator cuff on the bottom.
Right.
So it just rotates.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, I know.
Amazing. Yeah. If I had like more time and more technical ability, I would love to add something like that, some wheels and stuff. But at the moment, I think I'm a bit stretched. So I'm like really happy and excited right now because the lights are in the box. Yay. And I'm going to paint on the back of it, kind of like a bit in the style of my murals. I'm hoping to kind of encompass some of the energy from like the protests last summer, but also previous protests. One thing that I love about London is that it's a bit of a hub for kind of like social justice movements. And so I'm trying to kind of bring that together and paint that on the back of this box. But I'm also going to make it really bright and colourful because, as you read the poem, it's about the multiculturalness and all the different communities we have here. And I feel like there's a real cultural vibrancy to London. So I'm hoping to just kind of bring and all that together and like fuse it together by painting that on the back, and then let's see where the light box ends up.
So how is it going, the painting you're working on at the moment?
So the painting I showed you when we met for the first time, I was working on that one as like a warm-up, kind of like a warm-up piece for my final piece.
Yeah, because I think it's really good to feel like relaxed and be enjoying the final piece. And no, it was lovely to see your work when you brought it to my studio. They're so intense because they're actually much smaller than I was expecting, because the things that you're painting, quite grand scenes of London, quite vast.
Well, the views, when I pick my views, I do kind of I give myself a challenge. I have actually started my final piece. Yeah, I'm really proud of the view I've chosen.
Oh,
really
good.
It's got a sense of distance to it, but it's also, there's a lot of features that are quite close, like in the foreground, in terms of buildings. Whereas before I would do buildings that are quite, in a view I choose, all the buildings would be quite small and far away.
Yeah.
Whereas in this view that I've chosen, some of the buildings are actually quite close to the foreground.
One of the things I was going to just say to you was this business about perhaps sometimes too much detail, getting bogged down with it. I just wondered whether, obviously remember that photographs record so much more than our natural eye can do. If sometimes a little bit too much detail's getting in the way of things, I think it would be a good idea if you went back to the spot and just made some colour notes or something that really is just responding to the subject directly, and then you're not being dictated to by a photograph, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Coming up next week, the clock is ticking for our finalists. The pieces have to be ready to go on show and be revealed to the buying public in 2 weeks' time. We also spend time with Dr. Shala Kumari Burman, the artist who transformed the front of the Tate Britain into a spectacular celebration of bright lights and swirling colour. So join us next time on The Hunt for the Next Big Thing.